Go home, camera, you're drunk. Good morning! We have some interesting stories today, and I'm just gonna fire them at you. But first, can we please get this lady a beverage? The Willows Inn. Lagunita Farmhouse Ale. All the words of confusion. It's made from wheat. Lagunita Farm on Lummi Island. This sounds like it's a magical beer made in a magical place. In fact, it's made in Bellingham, Washington, which I hear is popping off. It's hot these days, Bellingham, Washington, for the beer industry. This is my first sip of any Bellingham beer, and boy, am I excited. In case you didn't already know, Hoppy Beer doesn't last long before its aromatic flavor deteriorates. Oh, it sounds exciting. Super effervescent with some big, very active bubbles. This is gonna be bright on the palate, I can already tell. My tower of creation. Ugh, anyway. So, some people seem to believe that Budweiser adding their nutrition labels to things is going to somehow affect the industry in ways that are unfathomable. Let me break it down for you people. Beer is prior to this, it wasn't really considered a food item, so they didn't want people adding nutrition labels to beer, assuming that it was something that was in some way nutritious. Turns out it actually is, and we can put food labels on beer. Great. Legislation has mildly changed over the years, so now we're able to do that. The Brewers Association has been working on much the same thing. They want to push beer to have more information on it about what's inside of it. That being said, it's not a fucking novelty, people. It's not like it's gonna change your world knowing how many calories there are. People that pick their beer based on calorie amounts, you're stupid. That's just a fact. Unless you're gonna be downing like a whole bunch of them for some contest or some reason that I don't understand and you don't want a lot of calories. But when you look at one beer that's like 180 calories and another beer that's 220, that's about 40 calories, that's about the amount of one saltine cracker. So if you're deciding between meh beer and beer, you can go for the beer, just over 40 calories, you're good. It's a saltine cracker, people. Cheers to my, caloric intake today. Oh, God. It's got me all excited. Oh, this is nice. This is nice. This is light. It has just the faintest grassy notes to it. I feel a little bit like I am walking through a beautiful wheat field. So along with Budweiser, AB InBev doing their thing and pretending that they're awesome by preempting what's going to happen anyway by putting nutrition labels on their beer, good for you, whatever. Over in Germany as well, they've decided to start releasing much the same thing. So Germans are going to be putting nutrition labels on their beer as well. Fine, that's interesting. Again, if you don't know, in Germany, the Reinheitsgebot dictates that if it is to be labeled beer, it can only have malt, water, hops, and yeast. It's kind of a weird law. We can get into it later. But to say your beer, you can only have those elements in it. So not many of them are going to be that high in caloric intake, and all their nutrition labels are going to be mostly the same. But for the other stuff in the beer industry, malt beverages, listing what's on them, that'll be cool. That'll be demystifying for people in Germany who think that their beer, if it doesn't say Reinheitsgebot, is not a beer. So like a lactose stout, people, you can't say that's a beer. And that makes it apparently less desirable to Germans, general German public. Anyway, moving on, people. I just learned what these are. Crullers. Crullers? Crullers. Cruller. I don't know how to say this. It's a pastry and they're putting it in beer. That's news. Next, we've got a little bit of an homage to who I would say is one of, history's most history. Time memorial, one of the best comedians of all time, Betty White. It is the 97th birthday of our patron saint, Betty White. So they made a Betty White IPA. Genius, clever, I love the wordplay. It's a white IPA. And yes, it's hazy. Kind of like her memory. I love her. While we're on the topic of homages, if you missed the first lunar eclipse of the year on Sunday, then you'll be like a lot of other people. But this brewery decided to have a party, and they made a beer that I wanted to share with you.
There's bits of stone fruit, chocolate, coffee, caramel. I get a little bit of plum in there sometimes. There's like a pine bit from the hop notes. It's a really complex beer that you can kind of dig into when it's very cold. You're standing next to a fire watching a celestial event.
I like his description. It's just got all of the fruit. It's a fruit cake. It's caramel. It's nutty. It's also bitter like a tree. It just sounds like Christmas in your mouth. So if you're going to be standing outside looking at the stars, perhaps that's the beverage for you. Next piece is from IknowJax out of Jacksonville, Florida. Everything you need to know about that area, but also some beer knowledge.
This week we have a special beer celebration. It's National Can Appreciation Day on January 24th. On this day, back in 1935, the first beer cans went on sale in the U.S. The Gottfried Crude Brewing Company delivered 2,000 cans of beer for beer drinkers in Richmond, Virginia, and the rest is history. Veterans United Brewing Company is observing National Can Appreciation Day all day on January 24th.
Yeah, upcoming event. Put that in your calendar. We'll talk more about cans in the future because that's important. Meanwhile, I am going to finish this beer and go on with my beautiful day, but I want you to go from here over to Life is Brewtiful, because it's a brewtiful day. And I want you to watch this video about Michael Jackson. And if you just went, Michael Jackson, like the Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson. No, not that Michael Jackson. The other Michael Jackson. The better Michael Jackson. Go watch it. You're welcome. He's a legend. See you tomorrow.